You have tried the diet, you have done the cardio, you have cut the calories, and you have been good for weeks. And the belly fat is still there. Same love handles, same energy crash at 2 in the afternoon, same brain fog by midday, same cravings that undo everything by Thursday night. Almost no one tells you this, especially in the fitness industry. The problem is not the effort you are putting in. It is not your willpower. It is your insulin resistance. And it is the way you structure your day that allows your body to do what it wants. Until you fix that, nothing else works properly, no matter how hard you try. This is something I see constantly in men over 30 who feel stuck in exactly this spot. Training 3 or 4 days a week, eating what they think is clean, and still not losing anything. Today, we are breaking down why belly fat sticks so stubbornly after 30, what is actually happening hormonally when it does, and 5 things you can start applying immediately. This is not about getting a six-pack. This is about understanding what is really happening inside your body and fixing it at the source. But before we get into the 5 points, there is one thing you need to understand first. Insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas. Its job is to move glucose from your bloodstream into your cells to be used as energy. Every time you eat, insulin rises, and that is completely normal, even necessary. The problem starts when insulin rises too often, too high, for too long a stretch of time. In a world full of insulin spikes, fast food, snacks, gas station stops, managing this matters more than ever. When mismanagement happens, your cells eventually stop responding to insulin properly. They become resistant, and your pancreas has to pump out even more just to do the same job. And there is a limit to how much your pancreas can keep producing over time. This is the beginning of insulin resistance, and the consequences are direct and predictable. More fat storage, especially around the midsection. More cravings, worse energy, disrupted sleep. But worst of all, a slow buildup of visceral fat quietly surrounding your organs while you sleep. A study published in a major metabolism journal found that insulin resistance affects over 40% of adults in Western societies. So if you are standing in a room or walking down a street, look to your left and look to your right. One of those people likely has insulin resistance and probably has no idea. Some telltale signs you might be developing insulin resistance are worth knowing. Belly fat that will not move despite genuinely dieting. Brain fog in the afternoons. Energy crashes after meals. Waking up tired even after 7 full hours of sleep. Does any of that sound familiar? That could very well be insulin resistance quietly running the show. So here are 5 things that genuinely change this when applied properly and consistently. The first is simple. Do not eat for the first 4 to 5 hours of your day. When you wake up, your body is already in a fat-burning state. You have been fasting for 7, 8, hopefully 9 hours through the night. Insulin is low because your body simply does not need to produce much of it right now. Your body is running on stored fat for fuel at this exact moment, and the worst thing you can do is wake up and immediately shut that process down. Most people wake up and reach for toast, jam, cereal, or a protein shake within 20 minutes of getting up. These are some of the most insulin-spiking foods you could possibly choose. Then they spend the rest of the morning wondering why they feel hungry or tired again so soon. Just push it back, let the fast continue a little longer. Black coffee, plain water, whatever helps you get through the morning without eating. A pinch of quality salt and a little lemon in your water can genuinely help here too. It is not just about taste. Plain water passes through your system quickly without any minerals to hold on to. Adding minerals helps your body actually retain that hydration properly. You will think more clearly, and you will feel noticeably better through the morning as a result. One shift like this alone can restructure your entire day around it. You stop fighting hunger constantly, and you start earning your meals instead. When you eventually break that fast, your body is in a highly insulin-sensitive state. That sounds like a good thing, and it mostly is, but it also means something important. If you eat carbohydrates at that exact moment, insulin spikes a little harder and faster than at any other point in the day. The simple version is this: when you eat carbs, insulin rises. When insulin is elevated, fat burning becomes much harder to sustain. Your body cannot burn fat and store fat at the same time. These are mutually exclusive states. So every insulin spike is essentially a small pause on fat loss. Protein raises insulin only slightly, fat raises it barely at all, carbohydrates raise it significantly. So try this for your first meal: high protein, moderate fat, low or zero carbohydrate, steak and eggs, Greek yogurt with nuts, chicken, and avocado, or simply cottage cheese. These foods keep insulin stable, and they keep you genuinely satisfied for hours because of their macronutrient makeup. They also keep the fat burning switch turned on inside your body. If you save carbohydrates for later in the day, ideally around a workout, your body uses them completely differently. Shuttling glucose into muscle tissue instead of storing it as fat is exactly the goal here. If you train in the morning fasted, that is genuinely fine. Just make sure you have carbs afterward. As long as your protein intake stays sufficient, you are not going to lose muscle from this approach. There is something else worth knowing here. Protein has a notably high thermic effect during digestion. Roughly 30% of the calories from protein are burned simply through the process of digesting it. Carbohydrates and fats sit closer to 5 or 10% by comparison, so a high protein first meal is actively burning more energy just by existing in your system. The second thing is strength training, and this one genuinely surprises people. Muscle is incredibly metabolically active tissue inside your body. This is where a lot of people in their 40s and 50s get things completely wrong. They lean into more cardio, more classes, more running, and wonder why the belly still stays. They might even lose some weight, but the real mechanism runs deeper than that. Muscle tissue contains something called glucose transporters, often referred to as GLUT4. These are proteins responsible for pulling glucose out of the bloodstream and into muscle cells. And here's the key part. They work independent of insulin. When you build more muscle, you build more of these transporters. Your body becomes genuinely better at clearing glucose from the blood without needing an insulin response at all. This is why strength training might be the most direct intervention that exists for insulin resistance. More muscle means better glucose disposal, which means less insulin required. Less insulin required means less fat storage overall. A well-known meta-analysis in a respected obesity journal confirmed something important here. Resistance training significantly improves insulin sensitivity, independent of whether any weight is actually lost. You get a real hormonal benefit before the scale even moves at all. So aim for 3 to 4 sessions a week, built around compound movements. Squats, deadlifts, bench press, pull-ups, rows. These movements recruit the most muscle mass and drive the biggest metabolic response in your body. Isolation exercises are great too and can absolutely supplement your training sessions. But most of your training time should genuinely center around these compound lifts. The reason is simple. These are skills you will use for the rest of your life. Reaching up for something is a press. Picking something up off the floor is a deadlift. Pushing something away is a press. Pulling something toward you is a row. Standing up from a chair is essentially a squat. These are lifelong movement patterns, and getting strong in them pays off for decades, not just months. The third thing might be the most underrated fat loss tool most people have never tried seriously. It is not high-intensity intervals, it is not running, and it is not a spin class. It is simply walking, specifically what is often called Zone 2 cardio. This is the pace where your breathing stays steady, and you could still hold a conversation comfortably. Generally, your heart rate sits somewhere just above resting, nothing dramatic at all. For most people, that looks like a brisk walk, maybe a slight incline, at a comfortable but purposeful pace. At this intensity, your body is primarily burning fat for fuel, not glucose. When you push into much higher heart rate zones, you shift toward burning glucose instead. Cortisol rises, and the fat-burning benefit of that session starts to fade quickly. Here is something most people genuinely do not know. Zone 2 cardio also improves mitochondrial density. Your mitochondria are the energy-producing units inside each of your cells. More mitochondria means more capacity to burn fat, even while you are simply at rest. Research published in a respected cell biology journal showed that regular Zone 2 training increases mitochondrial biogenesis, which means your body literally gets better at burning fat around the clock, not only during exercise itself. So if you can manage it, even 20 to 30 minutes each morning fasted can help enormously. You are already in a fat-burning state from the overnight fast at that point. Walking simply extends and deepens that state a little further. It is not complicated at all, it just requires consistency and finding a small window of time for it. The fourth thing gets ignored constantly, simply because it does not feel like something active you are doing. It is sleep. Here is a number that should genuinely get your attention. A single night of poor sleep can reduce your insulin sensitivity by up to 30%. Your testosterone can drop by around 20% as well. One night, not a month. Just one night under 6 hours of sleep. Your body's ability to process glucose the next day drops by nearly a third. A well-known study published in a respected internal medicine journal found something striking here. Sleep-restricted participants stored significantly more body fat from the exact same calorie intake. Compared to participants who were fully rested, same food, noticeably more fat stored. This happened largely because insulin sensitivity was impaired by the lack of sleep. But the full chain reaction is worth understanding clearly. Poor sleep raises cortisol, cortisol suppresses testosterone, and low testosterone accelerates muscle loss and fat storage. High cortisol also directly increases fat accumulation around your visceral organs. This is the deep belly fat that carries the most serious health risks of all. So if you are doing everything else right, fasting properly, eating well, training hard, walking every morning, but your sleep stays broken, you are working directly against the hormonal current the whole time. Your body moves through roughly 90-minute sleep cycles each night. Ideally, you want about 5 of these cycles to get the full benefit of restorative sleep. That works out to roughly 7.5 hours for most people. A few simple things can help enormously here. Keep the same bedtime every night, as consistently as you realistically can. Avoid eating for at least 2 hours before bed, since digestion raises core body temperature and fragments deep sleep. Cut screens for the final hour before bed, or at minimum use blue light blockers. Your body releases melatonin in response to darkness, and screen light quietly suppresses that signal. Keeping your bedroom on the cooler side also genuinely helps, somewhere around 18 to 21 degrees. Your core body temperature naturally drops as you fall asleep, and a warm room slows that drop considerably. So, what is the actual takeaway from all of this? These 5 things are not complicated at all. Fast through the morning, break it with protein and healthy fat, build muscle 3 to 4 times a week. Walk every morning and genuinely protect your sleep. That is the entire framework. But here is what matters most to understand about why this works when other approaches have not. It is not about restricting more, and it is not about suffering more. It is about working with your hormones instead of constantly fighting against them. If you keep applying more force to the wrong problem, more cardio, more restriction, more sheer willpower. Insulin resistance simply does not respond to that kind of pressure because it is a hormonal issue, not a discipline issue. But when you address the hormones directly, your body starts doing what it was always designed to do. Energy improves, sleep gets deeper, and training finally starts producing results you can actually see. If this helped you understand your own body a little better, go ahead and hit that like button. And try just one of these 5 things for the next 7 days. Come back and tell me in the comments which one you started with and how it felt. Small, consistent shifts like these compound quietly over weeks, long before the mirror shows it. And that quiet progress is usually the most reliable sign that something real is actually changing.